The Cypher with your light.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
To me, MC, me move the crowd.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
To me, MC, me move the crowd.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Greetings. Once again, it's your boy, Cypher Da MC. Turn my mic up. Well, I'll turn my own mic up. Turn my mic up. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Once again, the Creator has brought us together on the Into the Cypher podcast. If you're new to the podcast, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for giving your boy a shot, a chance. You could have been anywhere in the world. You more than likely are. But you're here with me. And I appreciate that. Shout out to Jay-Z. Once again, if you've been rocking with me for a minute, you know what we have to do before we get into today's topic. Got to get into our disclaimers so we don't get in any trouble down the line. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I'm not a sex therapist. I'm not a relationship expert. I'm not a family therapist. I'm not a lawyer or doctor or tax guy or anything such as that. I don't have any masters or doctorates on my wall from Harvard. I am just a regular. Say it with me now. A regular Joe Schmo. Just a regular guy giving you the benefit of his experience, his observations of human nature. Shout out to MJ. As we go through this journey called life, and I say we, because I'm on this journey with you, and today's episode will definitely be a testament to that. Once again, the Creator has brought us together, and I thank God for each and every one of you waking up, seeing another day. No matter where you are, no matter what you're going through, if you just tune into this podcast, hopefully you find some motivation or some inspiration or something to learn from and apply to your daily life to hopefully make it that much better as we continue to work on being the best version of ourselves. That's my intro. That's my intro right there. So today's topic and things of that nature, I had to take a self-reflective moment these past few days. And it wasn't something that I wanted to do. It was something that I really needed to do. And for the most part, it was, it's better if we reflect and look at ourselves in the mirror versus something happens or something is said and you have to do it after the fact. And then you're like, well, I could have, looked at this or done this better at some other point, earlier or some point in time. So what do you do when your communication fails, or when your communication methods fail, or your method of communicating fails? You would think if you're an adult, if you're doing this thing called adulting, they actually made a word out of what you are. Think about that for a second. They actually made a word, a verb, or whatever, out of what you are. You are an adult. You are adulting. You're human, but you're not humaning. All right. But still, when you're in your adulthood, you're entering in your late 20s, 30s, 40s, and on up, you're beginning to, know who you are, and you have methods or patterns of, communicating to, loved ones, family, friends, things of that nature. It becomes who you are. But what do you do when it fails, when you realize that you're not getting through? You're not getting through to people. They're just not getting the message, and it doesn't seem to just be, this one person in particular. I'm about to knock my mic off. It doesn't seem to be like this one person in particular. It seems to be just in general everyone. So is it a matter of everyone is not getting it, or is it my methods by which I'm communicating not clear, not concise, not direct? So as I think of this here, as I'm working on this myself, like I said, and I will always say, I'm on this journey with you because I'm learning every day. I'm learning about myself every day, what I like, what I value, how I value myself, things of that nature. So I was like, you know what? I want to share this with Cypher Nation, with the Cypher Gang, and give you my 3 ways that I am working on. You know, like I said, I'm never going to be preaching from a pulpit or from a soapbox and saying, you. I'm on this journey with you. These 3 ways that I'm working and that I realize, okay, this is what I no longer need to do, or how to address it, what I should be doing to be a more effective communicator. Some of these may actually kind of, be surprising, but just bear with me. So the first thing for myself, I'm a big communicator. I really feel the value of communication. Not just in, those personal relationships like with a significant other, but just in general. I enjoy the art of conversation. I enjoy learning about people and things of that nature. But this more or less is dealing with those closest to us. Those family, those friends and family members and things of that nature that basically are in our solar system of life, right? You have the planets in the solar system, whoever's the center of that solar system, things are, I'm not going to say revolve around that person, but what you do affects everything else. So it's kind of like the sun's gravity affects the planets. What you do, what you say, your influence affects everybody else and how they move, how they rotate and revolve. So what I did there? Huh? Yeah, you learn a lot here. You get a science lesson and everything. So the first thing that I've realized what I must do is be more direct. Be more direct. And when I say this is basically, this lets someone know that the situation is serious enough that, it has to be addressed. That it's not a matter of, sugarcoating it or beating around the bush, so to speak. You're letting them know that you have a grievance or something is on your mind, and it's strong enough that you want to either discuss it with them. You have to expect that, this is your approach when dealing with situations that you may not agree with. I mean, for me personally, it may throw off those that may have known me as one way for, a long time, or that have interacted with me, frequently. It may throw them off and like, well, okay, normally he's this way, normally he's that way. Now, for those that you may meet, moving forward, if you kind of hold true to this and end up being more direct and things of that nature, you're no longer going to feel that, they're going to look at you and say, hey, this is just how this person is. This is just how they are. This is, they're direct, they're straight to the point, they get right to it. But for your family members and things of that nature, they have to kind of get acclimated. SAT words, they have to get acclimated to the new you, so to speak. And this is a good thing because it allows them to see or get a better sense of who you are, even though you're in transition to who you're becoming, if that makes sense there. So being direct, if you're not a direct person, if you're kind of like, hopefully they get the hint, hopefully they, see where I'm, catch the drift or whatever. We're not in Tokyo. There's no drifting. There's absolutely no drifting. But for the most part, you have to kind of see exactly where you are as an individual and make sure that you are direct and straight to the point. This leads us to number 2. Give enough detail to encourage questions rather than being over detailed. Basically, just keep it short and sweet. Now, me, myself, this is a problem area for me because I myself Well, I like to make sure that there will be no questions. I like to basically give as much detail as possible. Hey, I want you to do this, this, and this because da 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 da, whatever the case may be. But during the course of that, I begin to see, people either, got lost or, they were disconnecting. I was giving too much information. So they were disconnecting or unplugging from the conversation and start daydreaming of whatever they were going to do after the speech or whatever. So it kind of, you find that only parts of what you were saying were being listened to because I was kind of going on and on, whatever. I'm thinking I'm making perfect sense, of course, but lo and behold, sometimes you get feedback when you don't ask for feedback that, hey, you go on and on, blase, blase. And I'm like, I had to kind of look at it and say, you know what? I can still be effective if I talk less. If first I'm direct, and number two, if I make it short and sweet. That way, if they have any questions, if anyone has any questions or anything such as that, they feel free to ask those questions without any judgment or any type of feeling of, being dismissed or anything such as that. I myself value a safe space, and I don't want to take that away from anyone that I'm talking with. So that would be my advice there. Make a safe space for anyone to, whether it's your kids, your spouse, your significant other, a family member, a friend, to be able to talk to you without any judgment, without being, feeling that their feelings or their viewpoints will be dismissed. And you'll find that they will be more receptive to what you're saying versus disconnecting as you're saying it. If that makes sense. So it's trust me, it is a kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It's a work in progress. Let's just use that. It's a work in progress. So I definitely want to make sure that is done and that is said, because it's the value of what you're saying. You want it to be valued, but you also want it to be accepted as well. You want it to be accepted so that way whomever you're talking with, they know it's coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of hopefully understanding, and you want it to be as clear as possible. Last, and certainly not least, of course, number 3, good old thrace. Try to focus on the positives. Now, if you're like me, I kind of consider myself a positive type of person. I don't consider myself negative. I'm kind of a realistic optimist, so to speak, if there's such a thing. I understand reality, but I also know that anything is possible. You can turn a negative into a positive in most situations. And the positives being you're keeping an open dialogue, addressing the situation as it happens or that has happened, and you're approaching it with the goal in mind for it to be mutually beneficial and for the conversation to be mutually beneficial. So, you're being direct, you're addressing the situation, and you're keeping it short so it doesn't sound like a lecture or something. It sounds like you're scolding them or chastising them or anything such as that. And you're focusing on the positives. You have to focus on the positives. Something they do in business where they say it's a positive, negative, or whatever. You can say, hey, well, your numbers could be stronger, but I see that you're on the right path to get your numbers to where they need to be. So in not so many words, you let them know, hey, you're not quite meeting the quota, or you're not quite being up to snuff. However, you're on the right path because you are addressing the situation. You're taking the whatever toll to get where you need to be, from a performance standpoint. And it's along the same lines when it comes to, your personal relationships as well. So you can learn a lot from business acumen. We're using our SAT words again, people. You can learn a lot from the business perspective and apply it to your personal lives. And situations may change, but the principles will still remain the same there. So the goal when you're trying to focus on those positives would be to turn any negative into a positive. So that way the person, when they're leaving the conversation, they're feeling good about the conversation. They may not like everything that was said or anything such as that, but it wasn't focused solely on what they didn't do or what they did incorrectly or what they did wrong or anything such as that, or how they were approached. They can say, hey, they had something to say, they made some points, it's something that we're going to work on, and we take it from there. I definitely empower people or feel that I empower people, that, I want them to know that they're going to be held accountable the same way that I would be held accountable. I fully have to hold myself accountable in everything that I do. As a leader, as a figure, I have to hold myself accountable before anyone else does. And along the same lines, you want to make sure that you're holding everyone else accountable as well. You want to make sure that you're letting them know, hey, you said you were going to do this, or we discussed this, but it wasn't done. Is something going on? Is something this, that, and the third? Do you need help with something? Rather than you didn't do this, you're being lazy, you're being blah, 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 blah. We often kind of harp on that, especially when it comes to family and friends, because we're used to them doing and being a certain way. So when it's not, we tend to jump on them. We tend to kind of, almost bash them and, beat them into submission or something to that effect. And we don't want to do that. We want to approach the situation as we would want them to understand that we have high expectations of them, not unreachable, but we have high expectations of what they could be doing better, of what they could be doing to make progress in whatever area that they may not be, quite high in. But, trust me, I get it myself, because your family and friends, these are the people that you've known the longest and have known you the longest. In times certain, it can feel like, you're being taken for granted because you're related to them or they've known you that long. And sometimes it can feel that you're not appreciated for what you're doing or you allowed things to slide for so long and now you want to address it, or then it feels like, oh my gosh, I used to get away with it, now you want to address it. I for one, I try not to let too much slide, because then it will bother you. It will get on your nerves, trust me. It will get on your nerves, especially if it hasn't been addressed. I always say, know your audience, who you're speaking with. Not everyone receives information the same way. Not everyone can say, oh, they brought this to me and let me know how they were feeling. They let me know how they looked at everything and all of that. Guess what? Not everyone receives it the same way. Some people may get offended. Some people may say, well, I didn't like what was said and blase, blase. But it comes back to accountability. You have to hold yourself accountable first before you hold anyone else accountable. But upon doing so, you want to look at the positives and say, hey, look, I'm holding you accountable because I know that you can do better. I know that you can accomplish this. I know you can make strides to get better in this area. And as long as if you create that safe space where you can have those types of conversations over time, because it's going to take time, because humans are humans, especially when you're adulting. I guess that's an SAT word, I don't know. But because humans are humans, there's going to be that roller coaster effect until it actually evens out, and it becomes part of our nature. It becomes part of our routine of who we are, and things of that nature. So sometimes individuals just don't see in a clear manner because, you know, they're used to you dealing with them in a certain way. But if at any point in time you feel that things have to change, you just want to look at yourself first, like I said, and, you know, to see how you are either encouraging or allowing things to stay the same. You know, sometimes we can be enablers. As much as we don't want to, sometimes we can become enablers, and we want to kind of stay away from that. So as long as you make it known that this is for the best of the family or the best outlook for the relationship, then the individual should hopefully see that, hey, you're not doing it because you're on your high horse or anything such as that. You're doing it because you want the relationship to get stronger and for it to progress. So, you know, to recap, you want to make sure that you're doing these 3 things. First and foremost, of course, you want to make sure you look at within yourself first, and see if you're being, number 1, direct. You know, if you're giving enough detail to encourage those questions rather than giving speeches or long talks, and also you want to make sure that you're focusing on the positives. Are you focusing on the positives more, or are you focusing on the negatives more? So you want to be direct. You want to make sure that you're, you know, giving just enough detail to, you know, basically keeping it short and sweet to encourage those questions, and focus on the positives. You know, I want to focus on the positives to keep, you know, open dialogue between me and whomever I'm talking to. You want to make sure that you do the same. You want to keep that open dialogue between you and whomever you're speaking with, because we're all interconnected. We all affect each other in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Remember, we're part of the same solar system. So we all have our own courses, we all have our own revolutions and rotations and things of that nature. But we all have some sort of effect on each other, whether big or small. So, you know, whether you're a parent or whether, you know, you're talking to your child or you're talking to your spouse or significant other, you always want to make sure you're addressing the situation to whereas let's take something positive away from this. So it always is going to feel like there is progress in the relationship, whether it's family, friends, whomever. So definitely do that. And, you know, I hope that you definitely see results. I, you know, will hopefully see results as I continue this journey myself and implement what I've talked about today, because, hey, I'm trying to be the best version of myself, and I encourage you as well. So if you see someone today that needs some encouragement, definitely let them know about the podcast. Encourage them with a kind word. And as always, before you love anyone else, you must first love yourself. And I am out this thing, the Bronx Dawn, Cypher.
To me, MC, me move the crowd.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is.
To me, MC, me move the crowd.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is.